Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Corey C., and I'm here with a very, very special guest today. I'm here with Randy Hilarski at Hex and PulseChain OG. Randy, how are you today, man?
Doing wonderful. I'm glad to be here and glad to spread the word of Hex and PulseChain and crypto in general.
I really appreciate your time, and I can't wait to talk about your perspectives on Hex and PulseChain and PulseX. It's an amazing community, and I'm really excited to discuss this with you.
Sure.
So let me ask you this. So I have some subscribers that are not really well acquainted with Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX. So for our audience, can you introduce yourself and who you are in the Hex and PulseChain community?
Sure. My name is Randy Hilarski. I've been around in crypto since 2014.
Oh,
Bought my first Bitcoins January 2014. Did very well with Bitcoin, did very well with Steam. Steemit.com was the platform. That's where we made our largest amount of crypto back in the early days. And I was a buy the rumor, sell the news guy, and I was a trader, and we did great. I was able to retire in 2018.
awesome.
And from 2015 till 2018, we launched projects. So we were very well known in the social media world, Google Plus, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all that. And we would help projects launch. And obviously, Steemit was a huge asset for me. And companies would pay us to go in and help spread the word of their projects. So we did about 40 projects, raised about 250 million.
Wow.
Over those years. It was a lot of fun. I haven't done that anymore. Now I just do it for free. I don't take money from projects anymore because I think it's a conflict of interest. So if a project was to pay me now, I feel like just a shill, and I don't want to be a shill like BitBoy and some of these other influencers. So when Hex came along, I decided. It happened to be October of 2019. I saw a video by Richard Hart where he did a talk about what Bitcoin Hex was going to be, because that's what it was called, right? It was Bitcoin Hex in the beginning. And I saw it and I'm like, wow, this is different. So I wrote a couple articles. I wrote 3 in the first 6 months on Crypto Daily UK. It's a famous blogging site for crypto.
That's awesome.
I used to be on the team, and I wrote those 3 articles, ended up getting me fired because I was writing those articles. But I talked about Hex and how amazing it was, and I got fired for it. And I lost thousands of followers. People were calling me a scammer. And I stuck through it.
That's awesome, man. Talk about tenacity and talk about passion. It's horrible the amount of gatekeeping that has gone on with Hex since its inception. It's even happening now. And I really ponder why it's happening. The second it came out, there was gatekeeping. And I'm sorry that happened to you, man. That sucks. That really does suck.
Yeah, when you have Andreas Antonopoulos publicly call you a scammer.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Just because you affiliate yourself with a certain project, that's bullshit. Because I met the guy in person twice. I've always thought he was kind of a dick, but he knew me and he knew my wife, and I just thought that was pretty low of him. Then he blocked me.
That's ridiculous. That's absurd. But you know what? I guess revenge is a dish best served cold. Now Hex has gone up 10,000x from that time.
That was the peak. That was the peak. I think right now we're about, for me, it's probably more like 1,000x, because I only bought in the first week or so. And then I didn't come back until March of 2020. I had already bought my coins and staked them, and I was ready to go. And then the price just freaking went crazy.
Yeah.
And it piqued my interest, and I got back in.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But still, 1,000x is still fantastic. So
yeah, we did great.
So you've been involved in cryptocurrency since 2014. You've helped so many different companies. You've raised $250 million. Now, there's 20,000 cryptocurrencies out there now, or maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. Out of all the cryptocurrencies out there, why Hex? And what do you think is the most valuable feature of the Hex network?
It's easy for me. It's set it and forget it. I don't have to trade anymore. I don't have to be looking at the price charts. I don't have to do TA. I don't have to be contacting team members from projects and trying to get a scoop on when something's going to happen or something's going to drop. I was, I call myself the basset hound of crypto. If everyone knows what the basset hound is, the really short dog with the big ears, because I'm just friendly. I go in and I get to meet these people, and but I have my self-interest, right? I take care of them. Like for example, I'll tweet out content of other people. Like I tweeted this video out today and telling people, look, come find Corey and subscribe to his video. And I think that's just a technique that's been lost in our society is give. You're going to get. It doesn't matter. It just works. It's amazing. And people today are so selfish that this is how I've always been successful in crypto. And Hex was no different. I gave, and then I got 1,000x.
Yeah.
So, and I'm recovering my lost subscribers and my lost followers and things like that. I'm rebuilding it, and it's taking time, but I'm becoming more focused. And instead of my focus being on Bitcoin or Ethereum or some of the other projects out there, I'm focusing on Hex and the PulseChain community, because that community is vibrant. They help each other out. Sure, we fight like cats and dogs. I can't stand some people in Hex. I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to be dramatic, but some of them are assholes. It's no different. This is life, guys. You walk into a bar, you're not going to get along with everybody at the bar. Period.
It's very, very true. And I like how you focused on the giving aspect in an ecosystem where it's mostly taking, it's mostly avarice intent. It's mostly, I would say, the notion of greed, unfortunately. And I understand that, because this is a ecosystem focused on monetary gain, but at the same time, you can focus on monetary gain while also being benevolent. I don't think they're paradoxes. So, and I agree. I think the set it and forget it concept is a really great idea in Hex. So, because it allows you to compound, it allows you to forget it, it allows you to not have to trade. And I think that's...
And focus on marketing. Exactly. I get to focus on marketing. I get to do what I love to do. I love to be a marketer. I love to create content. And if I'm sitting here doing TA every day, trying to take money from the other guy who's trading, then it's not good for my mindset. It's not good for my future self.
Exactly. No, that's absolutely true. Now you brought up actually an interesting point, saying your future self, which leads me to my next question: is why is delayed gratification so important?
Well, it's worked a lot in life for me. I'll go back to education, financial education. I went to public school like everybody else. I was a B student, I would say. I did pretty well. The New York State education system. Graduated fine. I could have gone to college, but my father straight up told me that, I'm not paying for your college. So you got to figure out another way. So I joined the military. So that was delayed gratification right there. I hated the military. There wasn't a day in the military where I said, "Oh, I made a great choice." I was like,
I can imagine.
I love the traveling. Yeah, I was stationed in Italy. That's a truck using their air brakes. So I didn't like those things. I love the traveling, but I didn't like the being forced to stay within these rigid lines. It wasn't me. I consider myself in life, you got people that are snipers and you got people that, throw the hand grenade, and I'm like the hand grenade guy. I blow shit up. There is no lines for me. I just go out there and have fun and do what I love. And that's why the military wasn't really good for me, but it taught me a lot of things. So it gave me the will to move to Panama 11 years ago with practically nothing. And I wasn't scared at all. I just did it.
That's awesome.
I sold my house in New York. I just moved down here. A lot of people don't have those kind of the ability to do that because they've been living in their between the lines their whole lives, and they don't know anything outside. Well, the military taught me it's okay to move overseas and okay to see other things, okay to be in other cultures and learn new languages. Delayed gratification is hard for most people. Like me. Okay, I'm on a fast right now. I'm fasting. Okay, so I'm on, I think, hour 19 or hour 20 right now. I can't eat until I go out to lunch with my crypto buddy here at probably 1 p.m., 1:30 to my time. And So you're talking, 20 something hours fasting. I don't feel hungry at all right now, but it's delayed gratification because I know how healthy it is to fast. And I fast every day, whether it be 16 hours or 24 hours worth of a fast. I do it every day now because I want to get myself in better health. I have to lower my blood pressure. I have to do all these things. Delayed gratification works in so many good ways through our lives. And it's no different with finance. Hodlers do okay. Traders get wrecked. And those stakers are going to make massive fortunes, especially locked stakers. Locked stakers, because I have no temptation to go and take out my hex that's due in 10 years. Because if I do, I lose it all.
Absolutely.
So it's like a forced delayed gratification. I wish I could have this in my health. I wish there was no way I could open my fucking mouth and put a donut in it.
I totally agree with you 100% on that. I really like how you were able to amalgamate delayed gratification in cryptocurrency with real life experience. Yeah. I went to, you say education. I went to school actually for 8 years, delayed gratification. I went to school. I got a master's degree in adolescent education / social studies. I got a bachelor's degree in history, summa cum laude, and I got an associate's degree. Did I use it? No. I got into cryptocurrency. Well, first of all, you said the New York education system. Not to get into politics, but I hate the New York education system.
Are you from? Did you go to SUNY?
I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, my stepmother was she's a PhD at SUNY Buffalo who just retired.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my friend went to SUNY Buffalo. I went down on Long Island. I went to Westbury.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but the education sector wasn't for me. So I went into cryptocurrency in 2017. I wasn't in it as early as you. So I got in, didn't learn in greed. 2017, 2018, so my portfolio go up to very low six figures, and I didn't sell, and so it go down to 1,400. But then in 2020, 2021, as I started working in cryptocurrency, I was able to get into a cryptocurrency known as Icon, and I bought it up and I staked, and I'm not retired, not retired, but for a 26-year-old kid, I think I'm doing really, really well because of cryptocurrency. So, and it took 5 years to be able to get to that point. So delayed gratification, I couldn't agree more.
That was about the point too. I mean, look, I got in 2014. I was able to retire in 2018. So I think that's a natural cycle in crypto. It depends on when you get in, whether you're getting in during a bull cycle or a bear cycle. I came in during a bear cycle. And so I think that's why there was one less year for me. But most people come in during bull cycles. So you've got one extra year that you have to deal with the bullshit, because you got to go through a whole bear cycle. I didn't have to do that. I came in halfway through a bear cycle.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So I came in, I started learning. I learned about cryptocurrency when I worked at fucking Petco.
Nice.
Yeah. I learned about there was this kid that got hired there. And what happened was that he made like 70 grand off of Bitcoin, but he moved to Manhattan. And as you know, Manhattan is unbelievably expensive, lost all his money basically. But then he took me under his wing and taught me all about cryptocurrency. And now I don't know where the hell he is.
You guys are working at Petco, so the first one you bought was Doge?
No, the first one. Funny part is the first cryptocurrency I ever bought was Litecoin.
Oh, not bad.
When it was $40. Back in 2017. Yes, May of 2017 was my first cryptocurrency purchase.
Hey, if you would have just held that all the way through the bull run, I think you've done pretty well. I think it went up to about 460, 480, something like that during that cycle.
Yep. Yeah, it was huge. But that cycle I was in, I don't know if you remember Bitcoin / Ethos, Substratum. I was in those coins. And Ethos can't turn into Voyager. So, but yeah, now you talk about a community. I got into the PulseChain and Hex community. I'd say not the PulseChain, not late, but the Hex very kind of late. I got in October of 2021 when I learned about Hex and PulseChain.
Yeah, we were riding high at that point. We were already at 50 cents.
Exactly.
We had just passed 50 cents. We were on the way down.
Yeah, and I learned about Hex at a meditation course, mind you. And so at first I got the message from Richard Hart. Because like the whole ledger hack, and I'm presuming he sent out like messages to everyone who got the ledger hack. So I got something in the mail about Hex, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And like I didn't even pay any bother to it. I threw it out, And then
that was history right there, man. You might be able
yeah,
to sell that for a couple ETH, or
I
I mean,
know.
a couple thousand Pulse in the future.
I know, I know. I gotta rummage through my garbage to go get it. So then I learned. So then this guy came up to me because he was like, "So what do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm in crypto. I just graduated college, but I'm in crypto." He's like, "How long have you been in that?" I've been 2017. He's like, "Have you ever heard about Hex?" I'm like, "I've heard the name, but never really got into it." And then someone on Twitter brought up, his name was Inverse Bull. I think his name was Harry. And he brought up PulseChain. And I was bored. So I was like, you know what, let me look it up. And I started learning about it. And I'm like, holy shit, this is a big deal.
Exactly.
So yeah. So I joined the Telegram and I was open arms. And ever since then, I really got, I have the Hex and PulseChain community to thank for, I did YouTube for 2 years, but in October, I had like 300 subscribers, and I'm not a gigantic channel, but I'm up to almost 2,500 now because of the Hex and PulseChain community.
Absolutely. That's how it rolls, man. I think I've added 350 people in the last month.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I came out of hibernation. I think I made it clear in a couple of my videos. I don't know if you saw it, that when it hit 52 cents, I kind of went quiet. I'm not gonna shill something where I think it's at a high. And that's just something I've done. I've learned ever since I was called a shill back in 2018.
That's noble.
And I've kind of, when things are starting to really peak out, I start to tamper down my content, and I tell people, look, it's getting overheated. It's time to start thinking about taking your profits.
Yep.
And if you don't, it's not my fault.
Yeah,
so,
no. I agree. That's incredibly noble that you are prudent when it comes.
Yeah, people got wrecked, man. People got wrecked in 2017, and I don't want to repeat that. And I don't want to have my name stained again. Because 2017, there was a couple of projects that I recommend people get into, and they just got absolutely wrecked. I got wrecked too.
Yeah. I trust me. I understand that feeling. It's not a fun feeling.
No, it's not.
So let me ask you this. Now we're talking about the ecosystem. We're talking about Hex. We're talking about PulseChain. Now, what are your thoughts about PulseChain, and does it have the potential to revolutionize blockchain?
I don't think it's going to revolutionize. I think it's going to evolutionize.
Oof. Okay. Explain that, please.
All right. So Ethereum, we have these high fees. Mm-hmm. Ethereum's relatively slow compared to PulseChain. So we're going to have, I think it's 3 times is it 3 times or 4 times the throughput, the amount of blocks that go through. I think Ethereum's every 13 seconds is going to be every 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. So faster transaction times, more throughput, and because of the way the coin is set up, they're putting Pulse into a lot of people's hands. Mm-hmm. We're not launching as a ghost chain like Avax, like Tron, Polkadot, or anything like that. It's not going to be a ghost chain. So everything that we have in Ethereum is coming over. So we're Ethereum 2.0 before Ethereum 2.0 launches, with some upgrades, because we've learned from Sushi and we've learned from PancakeSwap, the Binance Smart Chain, where a lot of the upgrades that happen on those places are coming over to PulseChain too. It's not just an exact copy of everything in Ethereum. It's actually more akin to Binance Smart Chain. And because we are stakers, where it's a staking platform rather than a proof of work like Ethereum 1.0 is. So to me, it's more of an evolution. A revolution would be coming out with something totally new that people don't know, and it's not what they're used to. This is exactly what you're used to. You've done this for years. If you're using Ethereum, it's just under a different network. You just have to do a click down on MetaMask or Trust Wallet, and you'll be able to interact just like you would with Ethereum. And if they're paying attention, they're loading up on their ERC20s right now. We're on Hex and preparing for the launch of PulseChain, because it is imminent. It's right around the corner.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
I absolutely agree as well. I think that it's going to happen soon. I don't want to put an exact date, but I definitely believe it's much sooner than later. And I really like that play on words, because it makes so much sense. It's not a revolution, it's an evolution, and I like that. And you know what? I don't think I've ever heard someone equate PulseChain. This is a very interesting concept you brought up, that PulseChain is like Binance Smart Chain as well. It's a very interesting. Out of all my interviews, I've always heard someone talk about it with Ethereum, but not Binance, and that's very interesting.
Well, Binance Smart Chain is an upgrade pretty much.
Absolutely.
It's an upgrade to Ethereum, and PulseChain is an upgrade of both. It takes the best of both, and it makes a new chain, and plus it has everything on it, so that's great. I also like to tell people that I'm a Pulse Doger, or Dulce Poger. That's what we call ourselves. I love Pulse Doge because it's coming from Binance Smart Chain. So unlike other coins that are all in Ethereum that are launching on Ethereum to bring them to PulseChain, Pulse Doge went and launched their coin on Binance Smart Chain, and you're going to get a copy on Pulse. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, we're reaching out like octopus everywhere, and to help grow our network. And I can't wait to see what happens on launch day. I'm super excited.
I'm very excited as well. I'm very excited for all the projects that are launching on PulseChain. I've been trying to interview every single one. I think I'm at like 85-90% of all the projects launching on Pulse that I've interviewed so far. I've been trying to really give every single project a chance to explain themselves, to bring up themselves. And I'm also working with different projects as well on PulseChain that are building on PulseChain, such as Love.io, such as the Oasis Exchange. So I'm really excited to be part of those two projects as well. I love Pulse Doge. I love what they're doing. I think that bringing a meme token over from Binance to PulseChain with these really, really extravagant memes and art is very interesting to me. So I think it's going to be an interesting ride when we launch.
Yeah, it's good. If people, I love crypto. And for me, the most exciting month of my crypto life was December 2017 to early 2018. Yeah. My son was born the first week of December.
Oh, God bless.
Or not December, January 2018. And that month of my life was the most exciting month of my life. Well, when PulseChain launches, it's going to be round two.
Yeah, right.
I can't wait. Hex going up like it did was awesome. Okay. Yeah. But I expected it. I didn't expect it to, I thought it would go to 2.5 cents. I thought that's what I'd be super happy at 2.5 cents. Right. But this thing went to 54 cents because of the PulseChain launch, and then went back down and went back up to 32 for the PulseX launch. Mm-hmm. I expected those things. But right now, the anticipation of not knowing what's going to happen is just making me nuts. I'm like, oh, God, dude, am I going to be if I'm going to have like 9 figures or 10 figures in the next year? Because it's quite possible. It's quite possible. What if PulseChain does 1,000x in the first year? What if PulseX does a 900x? It's game over, man. It's absolute game over.
That's very true.
PulseChain is going to be like the black hole of crypto. Everything's going to be sucked into it. And if everything works out the way I expect it to, we're going to be vacuuming up the rest of crypto.
No, that'd be great. I mean, I'd be at, 7 figures at 27, 28. So I'll be completely okay with that. That's enough for a 27.
I sure the hell wasn't, man. I was still struggling as a nurse at that age.
Oh, you were a nurse. That's awesome, man.
I was a mental health counselor, nurse. I worked in sales. I'm a master Volkswagen salesman. Between the time of me as a nurse, you get burnt out. So
I can imagine.
I was a really good salesman. So I would go sell cars and go back to being a nurse, go back to selling cars, go back to being a nurse. Wow. Just because I couldn't keep being a psych nurse for too long. It was too much work on too much mental anguish. But it was a hard job. I got paid very well. But then I would go sell cars, and I would just be chilling there playing on the computer all day, talking to people. And it was way more chill.
Yeah. As a person who's a therapist, I can never see myself, or a mental health counselor, or a nurse. I can never see myself on the other side of the chair. No thanks.
All day long, negative. People trying to kill your ass.
Screw that. I don't know how you guys do it. You guys have a special place in heaven for that. God bless. I would not be able to do it.
Yeah. A perfect example was once we had a pedophile on it was a convicted pedophile.
Is Chris Hansen there?
No. This guy was on our unit, and he'd been in prison for years. And he just got released from prison, and he came on our floor, and I don't know how the word got out that he was a pedophile, but all the other patients, they just wanted to rip his head off, and It's like, it's tough working in that kind of environment, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not prison. There's no gates between these guys.
That makes it even worse. Yeah. It's quite the audacious profession and quite the noble one. So good on you for doing that. I was going to do it, but I can't do it.
Always the funnest job ever, man. When it wasn't stressful, it was super fun, man. Have guys acting like they're thinking they're Superman flying down the hallway with their like little fake cape behind them and stuff. Oh, dude. I had a blast, man. It's like nursing is great. Little old grandma is asking me to come give them their last bed. Randy, I ain't had that in 30 years.
That's some tapioca.
Okay, I'm not going to go too much into that.
No.
Take your video down.
That's fucking hilarious. So,
man, I got stories for days, man. Get a little bit of alcohol in me. I got people rolling.
So let me ask you this: unlike there's no gatekeeping in the nurses section when it comes to like prisoners, and I'm trying to make a good joke, but that was really shitty. Okay. That was horrible. Why do you think that PulseChain and Hex have been gatekept for so long? Like, what do you think is the main reason?
It's simple. It's so simple that people can't embrace it. They can't understand it. There is no way for centralized exchanges to make money with Hex. Zero. Because we're not there. And who owns the listing sites? The centralized exchanges.
Of course.
Who influences CoinGecko and CoinStats on these? The centralized exchanges.
Right.
So they don't like it. They treat Hex like we're a pariah, and we are. But who cares? Yeah. We're making a whole new ecosystem on our own. PulseChain's not going to be gatekept.
I don't think so.
PulseChain is going to be on all the major exchanges because this happened with Bitcoin when Bitcoin had a fork and had Bitcoin Cash and
I remember that.
BSC.
Yep.
Not BSC. What's the other one? Binance.
Bitcoin SV.
Or Bitcoin SV, Bitcoin private, all those kind of things.
Yep.
A lot of the exchanges kept the fork, right? They didn't give you your Binance or all those or Bitcoin private, or they kept it. Right. Well, the same thing is going to happen here. So on their ledger, they're going to get a copy of all the PRC20s.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get a copy of everyone's pulse. So for every Ethereum that's on Binance, say they have 1 million Ethereum sitting on there, they're going to have 1 million pulse. So they have a nice little amount of pulse already, and they're going to probably swap a lot of their PRC20s on the PulseX to put those into Pulse so that they can have pairs. They could wire up the pairs on their website so they could trade and have the PRC20s within the first maybe month or so.
Absolutely.
So get prepared for that. And plus, I believe a lot of them sacrificed.
Really? I didn't know that.
I believe a lot of the exchange, that's why we did so well. It was like 700 million for PulseChain, and we're at 1.3 or 1.4 billion.
Yep.
For PulseX. They're prepared. This is just my speculation. So they're not going to miss out on another Richard Hart.
Absolutely not.
They want to participate. So, and they're not going to give people coins. I'm telling you, if you do not have your ERC20s off of exchanges, you are not going to get the PRC20 version. Not one exchange has announced they're going to support the fork. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
That means they're going to put it all in their pockets. They're going to screw everybody. So if you're not paying attention to PulseChain, you lose your coins. It's your fault, because we've been warning you for a long time to get your coins off exchanges. I have not used a centralized exchange in over a year. I mean, I have one library credits, one of my favorite tokens, which is Odyssey. They're only available on centralized exchanges. That's the only way I can buy and sell my LBCs. But as far as anything to do with Ethereum, no way, man. I use all dexes and
I don't blame you.
With Hex, and it's all on. You don't need it. Use One-Inch Exchange, Uniswap, SushiSwap, PancakeSwap, all those places. So if you have BSC versions, you go over there, and pretty soon we'll have PulseX, and we'll have Uniswap on PulseChain, I imagine.
Yep.
Might even have SushiSwap on PulseChain, and there's other. You said another exchange. I think Power City is going to have their own exchange too.
Yep.
So you're going to have a lot of stuff available to you. There's no reason to use a centralized exchange. They are like dinosaurs. They're already extinct, and they don't even know it.
Yeah, it's true. And especially in New York, I don't even have access to most of them anyway. So I've been used to decentralized exchanges, excuse me, for quite some time now. So I absolutely agree with you on that. So,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this then. You brought up PulseX. What are your thoughts on PulseX? Now, what exactly is it, and how does it differ from other DEXs such as Uniswap and SushiSwap?
Well, I think it's more like it's not like Uniswap at all. Uniswap would be the basic version. If you just clicked on PulseX, you went to the main site and you saw the ability to swap tokens,
Mhm.
that's the Uniswap front end, what it looks like, right? It's more like SushiSwap and PancakeSwap, where you're going to have farming abilities, you're going to have pools. I think PulseX itself, the token, it's deflationary, massively deflationary. So I actually am more excited about PulseX than I am PulseChain.
Wow.
Yeah, that I know that sounds odd. Maybe
No,
not
it
in
actually doesn't. You know, a lot of people are more excited about PulseX, but I'm surprised as someone who I'm presuming sacrificed for both is more interested.
but I did sacrifice way more for PulseX because I just had a feeling that it was going to do very well. And Richard's going to put all kinds of gamification into the PulseX token, more than he can do in the PulseChain. PulseChain's a layer one solution.
Right.
Layer one solutions always do well.
Yes.
All right. We might do a 10,000x in the first 2 to 3 years. Great. That's amazing. But I think PulseX might outpace it maybe about 10 to 20% over the next 2 to 3 years. So,
okay.
In my opinion, the ability just to stake your PulseX and earn rewards is enough for 90% of the population.
Yeah.
Some of us are going to do liquidity providing and earn the incentive token. So I would say for people that are a little bit more educated in crypto is learn about LP. Be careful what you LP on, because if you get into a pair where you can get wrecked, say that you have a PulseX and we'll just any PRC20.
Right.
So say that you have let's pick something random. Amis Go, for example. We'll just pick something from 2017 that did really well. So you have an Amis Go PulseX pair. All of a sudden, PulseX starts flying, but Amis Go doesn't do anything. Mm-hmm. You're gonna lose all of your PulseX.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have a bag full of Amis Go.
Yeah.
You know, and people got to realize that this does happen when you're a liquidity provider. Yes, you get incentivized to provide liquidity, but if you're not careful, you could end up with a bag of stuff you don't really care about. So exactly. It's not performing. It's always going to be equal amount, USD wise, mm-hmm. But I would be careful. I would stick with if you don't want to have it's called impermanent loss. If you don't want to lose that mm-hmm. coin, if you don't want to lose PulseX, then I would recommend staying away from LP. Or if you don't want to lose Pulse, stay away from LP. Now, there's one pair that's going to work out really well. That's the PLS-X pair. And the reason why I'm interested in that one is because to me, it really doesn't matter. Whether PulseX does well or PulseChain does well, I don't care. That the whole idea is that I end up getting paid I'm incentivized to provide the LP there. And if PulseX way outpaces PulseChain for 2 years and PulseChain languishes here, then I have a lot more PulseChain. And you know what's going to happen? Then PulseChain is going to catch on fire and it's going to come right back. So, you know, that's a good trade.
It's a huge trade. Yeah, it's a great trade.
And during that whole time, you're getting paid incentive token. So I think that's a really good way to look at it. Obviously, there's pools too. Pools are a little bit riskier.
Yeah.
I don't recommend people get in there unless they really know what they're doing. And then you could burn. There's the burn function, the buy and burn function on PulseX, which is absolutely awesome. I don't know the exact mechanics of it. All I know is that every pair has a certain amount of transactions per day, and there's a certain amount of fees that are attached to that. And you can, as a community, anybody can go in and click the buy and burn for a certain pair, and you get rewarded for clicking that buy and burn. You have to spend some PulseChain, but you're going to maybe make 10x your pulse on the way out of it, yes. Or maybe 20x, depending on how much is built up. What if we get to $1 billion worth of trade volume per day? Someone said that's $700,000 worth of PulseX burned every day.
That's huge. Yeah,
you don't have that in PulseChain. PulseChain is a layer one solution. There's a small amount,
right,
of tokens taken off the market, but very small compared to PulseX. So in the long term, I'm more of a PulseX fan.
That's very
but that might only that I'm not looking out 15 years. I'm talking right now 3 years. Hex isn't even 3 years old.
Right. No, that's true.
Hex is 2 years, 4 months old, 2 years, 5 months, something like that.
That's a very interesting perspective, because I know a lot of people who, and this is why I'm so surprised by this. It's not that I'm surprised that you said that. Because most people who say that, and I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about like the people who just get introduced to PulseChain and PulseX. I feel like the reason why many people are more bullish on PulseX, because it kind of fuels their own cognitive bias, because they missed the PulseChain sacrifice, and that's about it. But
did you hear that?
I didn't.
It was a big boom. It sounded like a transformer just blew.
So,
it was like boom.
I didn't.
Shit, dude. It got me shook over here. Like, what am I in Ukraine?
You're in Donbass.
Damn, bro. Panama's always something, man. This place is wild.
But it's surprising to me. What's surprising to me is that your focus on PulseX has extreme amounts of logic and reason and focus on why you think. Most people, I see that they're more bullish on PulseX just because they missed the PulseChain sacrifice and they cognitively want it to do better. But this is a legitimate reason that I really didn't think about. I did think about the burning function and stuff like that, but that's a very interesting perspective, and I appreciate you bringing it to light.
It's going to be wild. I tweeted yesterday that everyone needs to make a list. Make a list of every action you want to complete on day one of PulseChain's launch.
Exactly.
Make a list, because if you don't, your adrenaline's going to be running so hard. You're going to be like making mistakes. You might click something too fast. You might take an incorrect address and put it and lose your money. You got to go real slow, be methodical, be real careful. There's one thing that people keep asking me, like, Randy, what do I do? What is the best move right now? The absolute best move for PulseChain right now? It's get Hex.
Mm-hmm. Buy
your Hex. You don't have to stake it. Stay liquid if you want. And if you didn't sacrifice for PulseChain, if you buy a Hex now, the day it launches, you can swap that Hex for Pulse.
Exactly.
Right? You'll be ready to go. You'll be able to have some PulseChain. Yeah, the price might pump like crazy, but at least you'll have some PulseChain. Now, I think that on maybe for the first week, Pulse is going to rocket. It's going to absolutely rocket. I'm thinking 100x in the first 90 days for PulseChain. I think PulseX might be slow. It might take time to get going, because I think a lot of those sacrificers for PulseX were meaning to get PulseChain.
Yes.
Or that's their goal. So that's why I'm saying, if you want to do that without having to do the sacrifice, it's too late now. It ended yesterday, right? No more sac.
Yep.
Just buy Hex and you can do the same exact thing.
Right.
Has some Ethereum in that wallet, so you get some Pulse. So because everyone gets 1-to-1, one Ethereum gets you one Pulse. One Pulse lets you do many transactions.
Right.
Because PulseChain transaction is so cheap.
Yep.
So at that moment, when it goes live, you can swap that Hex, liquid Hex, for Pulse. Simple. Or PulseX if you want PulseX.
That's an interesting strategy, and I really appreciate you sharing that. I got to tell my friends who didn't get into PulseChain. So
that's the easiest one. Start buying Hex now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And we've been talking about also periods of time. You brought up 2-3 years, and this is actually a segue into our next question: is where do you see Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX in, let's say, 2 years? I know this is a speculative question.
Well, Hex, I think Hex will probably do another 100x by then. So we're looking at, is that $12 or $13 for Hex in 3 years? Wow.
Yeah.
Man, talk about easy street. I'll be able to help a lot of people with that.
Yeah.
PulseChain is probably going to do, by that, I'm just going to go with 3 years. PulseChain will probably be 11,000x by then, because we're coming. I think we're coming out of a bear market soon, so then you have 2 years of a bull market. During that 2 years of bull market, PulseX and PulseChain are both going to do their between 5 and 10,000x.
Right.
That no doubt in my mind. That's why I'm not selling any.
Yeah,
I will try to get some more. So I think that's where we're going in the next 2 years. But then we're going to go into a bear market. So that next year, the growth will slow, and maybe it'll only be another 1,000x, or maybe we'll actually go back down some. Maybe we'll come back down to only a 5,000x between the two of them before we turn around and start going forward again. Well, one thing people aren't looking at is the possibility of major hyperinflation coming, and that's the game changer right there. All you guys up north in the U.S., you could be dealing with some super hyperinflation in the next couple of years.
Yes.
Now, if that does happen, a lot of money is going to come into crypto.
Yep.
And it's going to cause a super bubble. And that super bubble is going to just absolutely melt faces. But on the other side of that super bubble, it's going to hurt people. So it could be the largest bubble in the history of crypto, but there's also on the other side, there's going to be a valley. And that valley is going to, I believe, where a lot of the government's going to come in with their stupid regulation for crypto, and it's going to be a tough bear market. So be prepared to take your profits when the next bull market really starts going. I'm really upfront and tell people when I feel like something's overheated. And
no, I appreciate that. That's
you could tell when people were calling on this, when Bitcoin or when Hex was 56 cents or something, like, oh, Hex is going to $2-3. I'm like, no, it's not. You know what? My brother made a great tweet talking about TVL, the total value locked in Hex, and he said it had to be some crazy number in order for us to reach $1, and he was right. You know? So you gotta. I agreed with him, and some folks just didn't want to listen. They kept saying it was going super high, and I'm like, no, it's not. And the same thing happened recently with Hedron.
Yes,
I don't know if you watched Hedron.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling people, I bought a whole bunch at six sixes and a 6 right at the bottom. When it went like this, up and back down, I started loading up, and that shit went on and did like a 15x from there. And people were still pumping. Oh, it's going higher. It's going higher. I was like, motherfuckers, you're going to get people wrecked. Mm-hmm. And then now it's down 70% from the all-time high. So I'm going to start being that cautious guy. I'm going to be like, look, guys, you're up 10x right now. You might want to take out your initial investment. Go ahead, let the house money keep rolling, but take out that initial investment so you don't lose anything.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. I learned that the hard way, and that's why I'm very prudent myself now when it comes to investments, because I know what it's like to be in crypto and lose basically everything. So I absolutely agree, and I commend you for doing that, because most people just do things.
Let me give people out here a good bit of information. Every time a crypto doubles, every time one of your crypto doubles, take out 20 or 30% of it. Take it off the table.
Interesting.
You'll never have zero of the coin. So you always have your moon bag just in case it goes absolutely nuts. But if you always take out 20 or 30% every time it doubles, you're never can lose.
It's true. No, that's a very interesting strategy.
Yeah. It's just that first time you take out 20, 30%, you got all your initial investment back. You're good.
That's very true. That's an interesting strategy for myself. So I'm going to consider that instead of just selling all at once.
I got friends that take out 80% when it doubles every time. That's a little bit more aggressive. That's more of a conservative approach. But look, I'm a gambler. I'm all in it. I wouldn't have done so well in Hex if I wasn't willing to take risk.
Exactly.
So I believe 30% is more of if you have a higher tolerance for risk, go for it.
Exactly. You got to have iron balls in this space.
When they give you that test, we probably have never done a life insurance plan, but when you sit down with your life insurance guy and they're like, okay, what's your risk tolerance? I blow up. They go from cold like up to warm on the thermometer, and then then for me it'd be like, oh dude, just blow that shit up.
Blow the mercury out of the thermometer.
I got huge risk tolerance, man. If I could be a millionaire in 2018, January 2018, and drop down to just 5 figures within 10 months and hold that shit. That means I got high risk tolerance. I would say I went from 6 figures to 4. So I'm hoping I'm the same way. So and we went 7 figures to 5. So
oh wow. Okay. All right.
Dude, ouch. Freaking
Well,
ouch, man.
good to you made good you made it back in plus a lot. So
we're fine. We're
good.
fine.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. People, I'm telling you, time. Everything in crypto is time. Just stick around and stay staked. You're gonna do absolutely fine.
I agree. I absolutely agree. So I just want to ask you, my last question is, this was one thing I just want to say before I ask this was an amazing podcast. I really appreciate the candor. I really appreciate the extrovert version, the honesty, the in-depth knowledge you have of these 3 different projects. I'd say the 3 different projects. And I really appreciate the time here. I really do. And I'd love to do this again. Do you have any closing thoughts, brother?
I want to tell everyone that we are all marketers. It's our job to spread the word. Oh, my son's back from the pool. Go get dressed, man. Butt ass naked running around. Yay. So his teacher was here. His professor was learning how to swim.
That's awesome.
So what I would say is every one of us is a marketer, and we have to take our time and start sharing on the different platforms that we like. Like you're doing YouTube. For me, it's TikTok. I'm focusing. I'm taking a course right now on how to be a good TikToker and how to grow my platform and my viewers and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to be on Twitter, learn Twitter. Yep. Take a course on it. I'm killing it on Twitter now.
Yes, I see.
I'm killing it.
I see.
I stay active, right? I'm just engaging with people and putting out lots of content. My YouTube is growing again.
That's awesome.
People ask me how I got my check mark on YouTube. I got it because I was huge on Google Plus before they shut it down. I had 120,000 followers on Google Plus. So I know how to grow to a large amount of followers. I was one of the Google Plus OGs. First week it launched, I was in and did very well. My wife as well. That's why she's got a check mark too. So I recommend people just get out there and start spreading the word. Look, don't rely on just Richard and
I agree.
And just going out there and that we're going to be the only ones marketing. It's not fair. We're all in this game together, and we all need to work hard to share the knowledge. And people are just so freaking lazy. They'll sit there and as armchair quarterbacks or keyboard quarterbacks, whatever you want to call them, and say, "Oh, you were wrong on this in your content." I'm like, "Motherfucker, make a video."
Yeah, it's true.
Tell people your opinion.
It's true.
This is my opinion. You don't have to go 100% by me. I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Probably say 60% of the time. But when I'm right, holy shit, I'm right. Like with Hex. If people would just listen to me, when I told them to get in Hex in December 2019, they'd be retired right now. But people weren't listening. They wanted to call me a scammer instead and block me.
Well, you proved them wrong.
Yeah. My wife hates it when I do it to her. When I prove her wrong. It doesn't work with women too well. But with guys, we gain normally with men, if I say to you, do this, and you didn't listen, you're going to come back to me like, "Oh, dude, man, you were so right."
Yeah. It's that, it's that, I guess it's that instinct of the alpha.
Yeah. You're like, "Man, I should have listened."
I shouldn't.
Oh, and I put in my LinkedIn profile, they asked me what my pronouns were, right? And I put alpha male.
I'm sure how happy people got over that.
I can't wait to see the comments.
Randy, this was an amazing conversation, and I really, really, really appreciate this, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing you more and maybe doing a follow-up one day. Sure. I know you haven't eaten in like 20 hours, so I'll let you go.
It's time to go have lunch with some other crypto buddies. Dude, and surround yourself with crypto people. That's because that's how you get your insider knowledge, and that's how you learn things that maybe you didn't understand in the past. And today's gonna be no different for me. I'm sure I'll learn something from my friend Michelle. She's here from London, and we're gonna go have a great lunch talking crypto.
Awesome, Randy. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
All right, cheers, Corey.
Cheers.